Moving on, Adam and Eve are living on the earth, and they fuck, and they... Oh, well, let's go to the snake thing first. Okay, so they had a fucking snake in a tree, and the snake said, "Hey, bitch, eat this fruit and get the knowledge of God." And she's like, "Wow, that sounds like a great idea." And she eats the fruit, which is really, even to most Christians, symbolic of them fucking, because that's the original sin, which is kind of weird because, you know, one has an outie, one has an innie. He gave us natural curiosity. He's omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient, and you would think that he'd see what was going to happen if he did that, and you would think that's the whole purpose of creating a man and a woman anyway, but whatever. So God, in his infinite wisdom, purposely gave us a chance to fuck up so that we could get cast out of paradise and have this horrible sin in our lives and on inequality, and he could blame it all on us, even though he knew it was going to happen because he put it in our nature. So God's a prick. Anyway, we all knew that. So they start fucking regular, and they have a few little mutiling infants, and one Cain and one Abel, and they're both brothers, and I guess that, you know, they're just never going to have any fucking females, but it doesn't really seem to matter for reasons that I'll elaborate on later. So anyway, they make their little offerings to God. Why the fuck does God need offerings? He created everything. What can you possibly offer him? He could only be giving. There's nothing you could give him in return, okay? What if he wants anything, he can have it. You giving him a lamb doesn't fucking mean anything. It's his lamb to begin with. If he supposedly exists, what's the fucking point? Why would he make us go through the trouble? Because he's a dick. Okay, so anyway, Abel gives God, you know, his sacrificial lamb. You know, he kills a little lamb because, you know, for God, whatever. And Cain gives him some fruit because it's Cain's job to tend to the fruit and it's Abel's job to tend to the lamb. But God says you don't want no fucking fruit because, of course, he's a vengeful, wrathful God that only likes blood. But, of course, Cain doesn't have any access to any blood, so it's really unreasonable for him to ask for it, but whatever. God's a prick. So, he says, well, Cain, your gift isn't good enough. You're not as good as your brother, whatever. So, Cain gets kind of pissed off because he's sick of always currying God's favor. He's sick of his brother always currying God's favor and everything, so he decides he's going to bash his brother's brains in. Wow. 4 people on the fucking planet, 5 if you count the Jewish tradition, but I guess she's a vampire, so she's not a person anyway. But 4 people on the fucking planet, and already we're killing each other. Very good message. So Cain bashes Abel's fucking brains in, and God is walking through the garden because, you know, whatever, he walks around then, I guess, because we're in his image and he's a human too, kind of. And he says, "Hey, where's Abel?" And Cain's like, "Aren't you supposed to be, like, all-knowing?" No. He said, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And God's like, "I see his blood on your hands. Now you must be punished." So as punishment, and God really sucked at punishments at this time, by the way. Lilith's punishment, not that bad. You're a vampire, you eat children. More of a punishment to the children than her, as we already said. And this punishment, even fucking less of a punishment. He puts a mark on Cain so that no one will harm him, which is weird because supposedly there's not supposed to be anyone else on the fucking planet. And Cain wanders around, he goes to a new town and finds a wife, and fucks her regular, and where's the fucking punishment? He doesn't have to live with his parents anymore, and now he's getting some pussy? Maybe I should kill my fucking brother. So anyway, and where the fuck did this town come from? Where was that? I didn't mention that. You know, all they had to do to make it consistent was say, and then God did the same shit all over the place. Put humans all over the place, and, you know, whatever. And so that's kind of weird. And now taking this story and applying it to modern logic, because there are people who do believe this story to be, you know, 100% true. Okay, so what race were Adam and Eve? You know, if they were, I mean, they're always depicted as being white. So how did the fuck did we get all these other races if there's no such thing as evolution? Doesn't seem to make sense to me. Anyway, we've established that the story's not true because it couldn't possibly be. If it was true, we know that God's a dick by about probably I mean, just that story alone makes God the biggest dick in all of history, pretty much. I mean, worse than Hitler, worse than anybody, pretty much. Just totally obscenely fucking evil. You know, not something that you'd even want to worship if you did believe in it. But apparently people do anyway, and people who believe that fucking story worship him. You know, and I think they call themselves God-fearing, and I can see why. I'd be scared of that too if I believed in it. But I think it's kind of weird that they're so, you know, they're supposed to be these moral people, but they're so immoral that they would worship someone who they knew, you know, to be evil. You know, because this God is obviously a fucking malevolent bastard. So, you know, anyway, I'm just having fun, just talking about this stupid shit, just pointing it out. You all know it's bullshit. Even most of the Christians know it's bullshit at this point. But, you know, we just have a little fun with it. Peace.